哇，这小心会不会洗底带嘞？多干，哎呦，打进！
In Efren's hometown of Angeles, I began to find out just how laid back the life of this hero was. He had been keeping his pool table and hanging out and practicing every day at a nondescript carinderia that has no name located on a muddy side street next to McDonald's in Dow. Cezar Morales, the owner and a lifelong friend of Efren, said Efren had just moved the table to his auntie's house in Angeles. Efren's auntie's house is a modest cinder block abode. On the covered but open-air porch sat Efren's pool table, on which several kids were playing. Drying laundry hung around the table, boxes and clutter were everywhere. On the ground, several roosters scurried under and around the table. There must have been 50 people there when I arrived. Inside the house, several women played cards. In another room, several men, including Efren, were engaged in their own card game. Efren was wearing a t-shirt, shorts, and rubber slippers. He was as friendly, low-key, and unassuming as everyone had said. I asked him if he could shoot some pool while I took pictures. Everybody gathered around the table to watch him practice. I'm no expert, but even the little I saw of his play told me a lot. The key in pool is control of the cue ball. He can do whatever he wants with it. When he plays, the cue ball moves around the table as if there's someone underneath with a magnet, dragging it to the exact spot he wants it to go for the next shot.
It's over the 4-ball with left-hand English, Jay. You
Wow.
see the action on the cue ball?
Talk about master of creativity. Did you see that shot?
Excuse me.
He's in total control. He claims that he looks 3 to 8 shots ahead. Efren is very loose and relaxed when he plays pool. He said he's very focused though, that even if people are talking to him as he's shooting, he does not hear them. Incredibly, Efren plays with a locally made cue stick that is 20 years old, and cost him $10 at the time. He said an American once offered him $10,000 for the cue, but he refused. "This cue stick is worth more than money to me," he said. "This stick makes a lot of money."
This is my playing cue. The Efren Reyes made for me. And then this is cost like 120,000 yen if they're selling in Japan.
Efren's house sits in another neighborhood about a kilometer away. Efren bought this house with the money he made from playing pool. Efren posed with his wife, Susan, and their 2 kids next to the car they own. They also own a Jeep. They have a 3rd child, but the kid was just a baby then. His parents also live in the house. There were dozens of kids hanging around in the street outside of his home. They all know Efren, and he's obviously a hero to everyone. Looking at Efren, you wouldn't know it though. He's very humble, and it's easy to think that folks in Angeles love him as much for that as they do for his being a world champion.
Efren Reyes wins it! He wins it! And I'm not going to say anything else, Mike. Efren Reyes has just said it all for us.
These 2 gentlemen right there, Team Philippines, Efren Reyes, Francisco Django Bustamante, are your 2009 PartyCasino.net World Cup of Pool champions.
Efren Reyes was born August 26, 1954 in Mexico, Pampanga. He's the middle son of 9 children, 5 boys and 4 girls. His family was poor and his father worked as a barber. When Efren was 5 years old, his family sent him to stay with his uncle, who owned the Lucky 13 pool hall in Avenida, Manila. Efren was put to work as a billiards attendant, and this is where he picked up the nickname Bata, or the Kid. Efren did not actually pick up a pool cue until he was 8 years old, but for the first 3 years at the Lucky 13, he still learned a lot about the game. Not only from watching the hustlers, the movie stars, and the celebrities that frequented his uncle's place, but also from his dreams. Efren's bed was a pool table. When I slept on the pool table, I dreamt about pool, he said. I learned about pool from my dreams. No wonder, I thought, he's nearly unbeatable. He must have learned the incredible shots and the impossible angles that he's famous for from all the spirits of the old players who visited him while he slept on a pool table night after night. Then, at 8 years old, he began living out the dreams.
He made a nice carom shot.
Brilliant shot.
Played it.
That was deliberate.
Yeah. Obviously.
They say he's the greatest kicker out of snookers to pot in the world.
Just to be able to shoot, he said, I stacked cases of Coke 3 high so I could play pool. After every shot, he would move the cases around the table so he could take another shot. Even though his uncle did not want him to play pool, Efren would play 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening when nobody was around. I liked sleeping on the table because when I woke up, I could play pool. I watched all the good players, and the weak players too, he said. He practiced every shot. He had no teacher. I learned all the simple shots from the good players. English, draw, follow, how to put the cue ball in position. But what about all the other shots? The good players don't know the invisible shots. A lot of times the weak players make these impossible shots. I learned a lot of trick shots from watching bad players. He said that at 16 he was the best player in the Philippines. At 18, 19, 20 years old, Efren said confidently, nobody could beat me around the world. Even if you could run the table every time, you still could not beat me. When I was 20, I was strong.
이야, 한파잖아.
He's gonna kill the ball and try and put it behind either the 5 or 6.
Oh my God.
Interestingly, he said this never having been abroad at the time. He realized that he had been the best all along, when in 1985, he first went to America and finally watched all the best players. He found a sponsor in 1979 and made his first trip abroad to Japan, where he won $3,000 hustling and playing in tournaments. 6 years later, he made his first trip to America. His sponsor then was a local Filipino with connections in the States. He wanted Efren to hustle. By then, however, the word about Efren Reyes had reached the pool halls of America, but nobody in America knew what Efren looked like. So, while in the States, Efren used the name of his friend, Cezar Morales.